All right. It's a little earlier than 105, but hey, let's just go ahead and get started. And we're going to let anyone who comes in just come in and join the conversation. No pressure, no, no issues. So here we go. Welcome, welcome. My name is Kristen B, and this is In Session. So today we're going to be focused on creating an unforgettable live performance. We're going to explore tools for audience engagement, set design, top notch audio quality for the independent musician. All right, so we're going to give all that to you guys today. And I'm beyond excited to be joined by our panelists, Danni Cassette, Freddie Hall, and Figgy Baby. So let's go ahead and get started. Figgy, can you just share a bit about who you are and your preferred gender pronouns with the audience today?
Yes, I absolutely can. Thank you so much, Kristen. I'm so happy to be here, y'all. I'm excited to sit down with these other amazing artists and get down to talking about live performances during the quarantine because this shit is wild. I'm Figgy Baby. I use they, them pronouns. I'm out here based in Los Angeles, so it's 10 a.m. We just getting the day started. And yeah, I'm an internationally performing rapper, writer, experience provider, and general human of value.
Love it. Love it. Yes, yes. Human of value.
Right.
All right, Freddie, can you share with us your preferred gender pronouns and a bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Freddie Hall. I go by he, him pronouns. I'm a singer, songwriter, guitarist, producer. I have two studio albums out and a third one on its way later this year. I've toured throughout the country in venues of all shapes and sizes. I've even I spent the past 10 years performing on Broadway as well, both on stage and in the orchestra pits. And I too am very thrilled to be here to share what I've learned, but also to hear what all these fine people have to say about the wonderful art of performing.
Love that. Yes, giving me all the life. Thank you, Freddie. And Danny, are you able
Yeah,
to
so
share a
so
bit
here's
about
the
yourself?
thing. I do not I am having major difficulties over here. I've never
Okay.
had this on Zoom before, and it says that I can't disable my camera because you, for some reason, you have to do that.
Oh, all
So
right.
I
You
can
should
hear
be
you
good to go.
guys.
Let's try.
Okay, so let me try because it was not letting me. Okay,
There
boom.
you
There we
go.
go.
We're good to
So
go.
sorry, guys.
Amazing.
Of course, the cassette guy would be the last one in here trying to figure it out. Like, how do I? Okay. Hi, I am Danni Cassette. I am a singer songwriter. My pronouns are they, them, non binary icon. What's up? Um, and yes, I also reside in Los Angeles. It is all the way 10 a.m. What's up? And yes, I'm very, very happy to be here and discuss one of the things I love to do more than anything in the world, which is perform. So yes, 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 yes.
Amazing. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you all so, so, so much. If you all don't know already, this is an incredible panel. So you guys are going to get some serious gems. I can't even wait. I have my notepad, all of these things down and ready. So before we jump into it, thank everyone for any of the questions that you submitted prior to the webinar. We're going to cover some of those topics before for the first 45 minutes, and then after we're going to go into an open Q&A at the end. So a few housekeeping items to cover before we jump into all of the good information. This is a supportive and uplifting space, so we just want to make sure we keep that in mind as we get into the discussion. Also, please feel free to use the chat as you already have to share where you're tuning in from, what you're excited to hear about. Let us know how you're vibing with the information, but make sure that you choose all panelists and attendees. It's like a little blue drop down to make sure select all panelists and attendees so that we can all join in on that conversation. And if you have any questions that come up during this conversation, please use the Q&A function, which is also at the bottom of your Zoom screen so that it doesn't get lost in all of the love that we're going to share in the chat. So if you have an actual question that you want to ask any of the panelists or in general, shoot that into the Q&A and we'll get that covered in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the webinar. And then lastly, you should receive a survey at the end to just let us know how you felt about the webinar and any other topics you'd like for us to discuss in further in future in sessions. So without further ado, I am done with all the spiels and we're going to dive right into the information. So my very first question, we're going to start with Figgy. What does it mean to you to be a great performer and what makes a great performance?
Woo! Hey, presence and vulnerability. I feel like being someone who can claim yourself shamelessly on stage and really be the leader to facilitate the space is something that's going to change the game as a performer. To hit the stage just fully being yourself is going to allow others to feel like, dang, okay, like they're just having so much fun up there, just living shamelessly, like. And you've given the audience permission at that point to also respond in kind and be present with you, you know, drop any guards or walls of being like the fool at the back who's just like side dancing, you know, like you're like, yeah, you're like, you have to be the first one to set the tone. And I feel like being a great stage performer is about being a great space facilitator, right? How do you engage with the energies that are in the room? You know, being able to read the different spaces, like, oh, there's one person that's just like completely vibing with you. Bet. Focus on that person. And then that's going to spread out to the rest of the folks, right? And I think a lot of the time when I engage with audiences, especially younger audiences, people want attention. And that's why they're like not being cool or acting out or whatever. You know, I did a lot of like youth education before I became a full-time artist. And it's some of the same skills, right? You see like the folks who was like, you know, not really trying to pay attention. It's like you just give them a little love, or they're being like, you know, reserving themselves, show them a little love, eye contact, presence, and they're going to spark right up. And so
Love
just
that.
quickly, yeah, presence, vulnerability, and being your authentic self.
Yes, yes. And I love that cross functional. Like, I did some of this with the youth, and it translates. Young people grow up and
Absolutely.
become, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? They become adults that start attending concerts. So that was, yeah, great, Jim. Go ahead, Danny. I think you came off mute.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, I just to completely piggyback off of what Figgy said, like 1,000% presence. I think, you know, I have a church background, and so for those of us who do have that, and I've been in culture church background, so very, very, you know, all of that going on, and so, and my grandfather's a pastor, and so I think that that's what I'm saying. A lot of what you said is very true. I've not worked with kids, but I do understand that like reading a room is very important, because I think the thing that for me, I come into a room and I try to feel like, what does my audience need? Like, what do I feel like in this moment, in this venue, in this space? What am I feeling in it, like energy wise, that I need to, that my audience also needs? So throughout the set, because it might be at the beginning of the set, I'm like, maybe they need soft right now. And then maybe in the middle, they need a little like, need me to rock, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's also, you know, though like a lot of it is having your confidence and knowing that you're up there and you're, you know, you're in, like, I think that's all of it too. Like you, to me, I feel like I am like unstoppable, like invincible when I'm up there. So that's already checked. Like I've already got that. I think a lot of what I try to concentrate on is like, okay, but what, because performing is symbiotic. Like it's not a thing I'm doing for myself. Like that's why I miss it. Cause it's like, it's a thing that we are doing together. So I think that's the thing that I always want to remember is like, what do I feel like at this moment that my audience needs? And so I try to provide that, because I mean, you paid to come see a show, you know, let's both get something here. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
I do believe eye contact is the number one thing. And when I start the show, I always like try to tell myself, look, scan the whole crowd. And not only do I think it helps them, but it also helps me. I'm like, you take inventory. You're like, who's here? And let's just check in. That's, yeah. Everything else has been said, but also using whatever your strengths are and not shying away from whatever, like, you know, whatever your background is for the church or youth or the theater or something. You can always use whatever your strengths are in performance.
Absolutely. Play to your strengths, which will also lead to, you know, being comfortable on stage because you're not being something that you aren't, you know.
And the vulnerability
Absolutely.
too. Like,
most
Yeah,
definitely. And
that's
you all are
major.
talking a lot about confidence and about knowing who you are, but there are a lot of artists that really have some extreme nerves. Like how have you all gotten past those nerves that hit you like right before you go on stage or right when you're on stage? How have you gotten past that to then perform and allow yourself to come through?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I used to drink, but I stopped drinking actually. And it's improved tremendously, like my live performances, but nerves will get the best of me sometimes. But I think just confident, like practice, just being well rehearsed and knowing exactly what, like having some sort of agenda for the performance, some sort of like set list, but then allowing the flow to go wherever it takes you.
Exactly.
But nerves are always going to come. Like even right now, I'm a little nervous. I just think
Right.
they're inevitable, and just embrace them, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love what Freddie said. And I think exactly what Freddie just did is an example of something you can do, is address the fear. If you're nervous on stage, you know, put part of your performance, be like, hey, yo, I'm nervous right now, y'all. Can I get a little, like, can everyone in the crowd say, I'm nervous? And everyone's like, I'm nervous. And then you turn it into your strength, right? The insecurity into your strengths. And something else that Freddie had said, too, about scanning the room, I think is also great because it allows you, I wrote in the comments even before you said the nerves question, that calms my nerves when I see the whole room, because I can like have eye contact with everyone. I'm like, okay, I know who's in here. I've like made a little like a checklist, and now they see me, I see them, we're here together. And for as confident and shameless as we are, definitely nervous every time. And I do no substances, any caffeine at all days of shows. So I can't even have green tea, definitely no coffee, like anything that's already gonna, like when I drink coffee, like it gets me going. So I know if I'm gonna have a show later that night, it's gonna like get me a little jittery, and just like whatever nerves I have is gonna like amplify them. So I try to just like keep it as kind of sober and low key and calm all day up until the show, just so I can and go to the bathroom before you perform. That's it.
Love that.
A few times, probably.
Yo, that's so true. Oh my God.
right. You gotta let it out.
That is so true. Oh my goodness. That is so true. Yeah, but I mean, you all have already said a lot of great things to help with nerves. I think with me, all of us, I'm like, with Freddie, I also am a little nervous even now, like even doing this. I agree with that. I think for me, I kind of take it as, I've never like, what am I trying to say? Like skydived or done anything that like, I've never done that before, but I kind of think of that like when I'm on stage, like, yes, this is a moment where I'm very nervous. There might even be a little fear in there. I'm like, fear that maybe, hopefully I'm good this time, or, if it's a big crowd or I've never performed or this is a new city or whatever. And I kind of just jump, if you will. It's kind of just one of them things where I'm just like, you know what? Like the net is, because you're gonna still sing your ass off. Like you're gonna be fine. It's just you gotta just kind of jump. And so I think sometimes with nerves, you just have to face them head on too, and just and like Freddie said, and use that kind of as fuel through your performance. So yeah, because the nerves aren't gonna go away. You just kind of got to learn to live with them. So yeah.
I love that. And these are like seasoned artists that have performed and performed and performed. So if you're an artist and you're like, I haven't done it enough, and maybe if I do it more, I won't be nervous. Like, no, these are like legit professional artists that are sharing that nerves are just a part of the art, because you're sharing your heart. So it's always like this point of nervousness when you're going to share that heart with the world. So
I feel like we could talk the whole hour about nerves, actually.
Most definitely.
But we don't have to.
And Freddie, you talked about preparation and that playing a huge role in that comfortability. So I want to roll right into the audio, into the tech portion of it all, because if you don't know that your set, your equipment is going to be good, then that also adds to the nerves, because you don't know what's going to happen when you start singing or performing in whatever way. So how important do you think it is to have top-notch audio and video quality for virtual performances or performances in general?
Is that open up? It's important. But I think also a question that you can gauge yourself before you go on investing $1,000 into the highest quality audio equipment is, where are you in your career? What is the expectations from your audience? On what outlets are you going to be doing this? What is your goals with the performance? And I think that's really going to help shape what your investment looks like, because you can buy $10,000 audio equipment. Of course you can, because there's just better and better equipment all the time. And so there's no like, oh, this is the only thing I need that everyone has. Everyone's gonna have different equipment. Everyone's gonna be using different budgets. So I think before anything else, about engaging your purpose and function. And then I'll let the rest of the panelists kind of add on to that.
Well, I agree that it's definitely helpful to have, but it's not everything. And I saw a YouTube video of Bruce Springsteen when he was on tour in some country in South America, and he was like playing just on his break on the side of a street somewhere, and it was just like him and his acoustic guitar, and then little by little like a huge crowd formed. But that, you know, and then he's got his like big huge band that he plays with every night. But if you can do that and the whole, someone like, especially like him of his stature, can still be humble enough to go on the streets and perform, I think that's admirable as well. If you can't do it by yourself, well, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say, actually.
No, that makes total sense. I think you know, both of your perspectives fed into each other. It's like, it's not that it's not a great thing to have amazing equipment, but don't focus solely on that when music can be shared regardless of what equipment you have. If I'm reading that properly.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Most definitely. Danny, do you have
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I would absolutely agree. I think for me, you know, I love just I can kind of love the bare minimum, because I just, at the end of the day, I just love to sing. But I also, you know, I think last year I did feel kind of, not pressure, but I did kind of want to up the ante, because I was like, you know, I can't go to a venue. And so, and I know, you know, but because performing is such a huge part of my artistry, I did feel the need to be like, okay, let me go figure out how to like make sure I have stereo quality audio, you know, going on, you know, on my IG live, or, you know, wherever I was posting the show. So, but I agree. I think, you know, what Figgy said was very true. Like, assessing where you are in your career for the things you need is very important, because being an artist is so expensive. My God. So yeah, so if you can, you know what I'm saying? So I think that is a really good way to gauge, you know, what to buy, when to buy it, and all that good stuff. So yeah,
I love that. So with
yeah.
that said, what is your go-to gear combo that like you've used and you love, for the artists that are like, all right, I hear you, but I need to get my tech game
But
up.
yeah,
So let me know what to buy. What do I need to get? Let me know what your go-to gear combo is.
All right. So my go-to gear combo for shows during the quarantine are these two beauties right here. Both of which are under a $200 budget, I just want to say. So we have the U24 Zoom interface. It can be battery powered, USB powered. It's transportable. It's small, 2 inputs, very basic, very user friendly. And if you're someone who just has like a mic and a guitar, this is gonna be perfect for you. And then in order to put it onto your phone, right? Let's say you don't have access to a computer. Let's say most of your shows are done through IG Live, right? And you want to have prime audio quality, is get yourself a little USB adapter that's gonna go straight. I usually, what I'm gonna do here is, what I do is I'll plug this into my computer, and then attach it to this and plug this into my phone. And that allows me to have a little bit more control through Logic on the vocal quality, as well as any kind of instrumentals or music that I'm using as well. But those two are great. And if you, just another add-on, if you already have an interface, I have this, you know, like $100 audio box USB interface. And if you can connect those three together, then it's going to amp up even more. And I imagine most recording artists already have some sort of USB at their house. And so adding these two other products to it is going to be, it's going to be money.
Love that. So we got Figgies. All right, who's next to share their gear combo?
I can share mine. So usually with me, when I do my live shows, I do it out of the studio that I record out of here in Los Angeles. So they already have a lot of the main equipment. I don't have like a mixer or any of that good stuff. I usually just can like go in there. So for me, like for those of you who just like you can go straight into a mixer. I have a TSR cable. Oh my God, I hope I'm saying that right. I have a TSR cable, which basically splits your audio into stereo. It's amazing. And then what you do is you can put it directly in your phone via a dongle. And basically you can just get the audio straight from the mixer through this cable into your phone. Because that's usually how I do my setup. So yeah, that like saved my complete ass last year, making sure that I had, you know, the best audio. And like we were talking about earlier, you know, everybody bought the rigs up. Everybody bought the rigs up. So it was like, we had to figure it out. So yeah, so if you have access to a mixer, I got these off of Amazon. I don't even think I think the TSR cable cost me like maybe $20. And I mean, the dog was like, what? This was like $10. So again, but again, this is if you have access, if you're doing it actually through a mixer. So that's my process. So.
Love that. Yes. We all need, you know, these are great, what is it? Budget friendly like options. You're like, if you want this, you got this. If you want this, you got this. All right, Freddie, let's round this out. What you got?
Well, I use an M Audio. Like I too have mine to show, but this is your standard mixer. But I use this for recording as well. And I have an Audio Technica condenser mic that I use. And between that, I've been able to get, with just me and an acoustic guitar, it works perfect actually. It's funny because I just saw Figgy wrote in the comments that he made a fake IG to do sound checks, but I did the same thing because I've never done Instagram Live before March. And it was, yeah, you just never know how it's gonna sound on there. But I also wrote down your suggestions, Figgy. I wrote down U24. U24.
Zoom.
The Zoom, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, Figgy, I'm definitely getting that. Like I peep game. I'm like, oh, I need that ASAP.
Yeah, I think you can plug it into your phone. And you use that for Instagram?
Yeah, use it for Instagram. Also, even beyond the quarantine, if like you're on the road and let's say you want to do like a mini show for like, you know, sometimes I'm touring internationally and like, I'm like, you know, I want to do a little show for people like back home or just like on IG Live, right?
Right.
US battery powered, and it's solid. You know, just used it yesterday for a So Far show.
Nice.
Love it. And also our wonderful moderators have dropped some of the links in the chat for you all. So if you haven't been able to jot it down or you couldn't find it, we got you covered. So huge shout out to you guys for that. Yes, I mean, yes, this is amazing. Like we all need this. We just want to have a leg up, you know, on the competition. We want to create a product that we can save, that we can use in other places, and it's not just a one-off. So if we have great audio quality, we're good to go. So thank you guys for sharing that, most definitely. So we're going to shift right into audience engagement. Now we got our audio together. We got our nerves at least acknowledged. So we're ready. We're ready to perform. We're good to go. So how can artists begin engaging with their audience to build that excitement before like the doors even open, before showtime even happens? How can they kind of build that excitement before that time?
I think to me, I always say like the excitement to me starts from the show, from the flyer. Some people may disagree with me from that, but like the one thing, nobody ever is attracted to an ugly flyer. Nobody sees an ugly flyer and says, you know what, damn it, that looks like it's, no, never. And I want people to understand that, like, please get you a good old graphic designer, because that is the face of your show. That's the first thing that people are going to see. Is that little piece of cover art on IG, on Twitter, or whatever. So to me, I always tell people, like the flyer, like look at does it make you want to go to the show? How does that? And so I always tell people, like, make sure that flyer is bomb. I'm sorry, I just had to say that because I hate being on ugly flyers. I hate it.
Love it. You're like, send me the flyer before I give you my photo.
Exactly.
It's not just a flyer, but all the content that comes out before the show too. Like
yes.
Putting out like rehearsal footage, but you have to do it in a way that's also kind of exciting too. You can't just be like plopping your phone up and you singing into a microphone. Well, it can be, but I think another way to get people engaged is to do that and to create like like whatever your show is, to kind of put like an event, you know, a theme behind it and of some sort. I've seen people, they will tell their fans to come dressed up all in white. You know, this week, everybody come dressed up in white, or come dressed up. And so then everybody shows up to the venue and everybody's like, it's kind of like a spirited thing. And then when you look out at the audience, you see, oh, you know, this is actually, we're all working together to create this unique experience that's in the venue. But the flyer is so important too. So
Yeah.
Danny, you gotta send me your graphic designers.
Oh, listen, I will, because I want everybody to be great out here. I will.
I'm gonna send you all my graphic designer right now.
Please.
It's called Canva. It's called Canva.com.
Oh, that's real too. That's real too.
Canva. All right. Yo, I tell you, I'll be making some bomb on my album work.
That's real.
Flyers.
That's real. That's real.
Free Canva,
That's
yo.
real.
I tell you, if you got some like, hey, dead ass, if you have some like sick pictures of yourself, just like looking clean, and then you just throw it on Canva, fill up the space for the flyer, and you could even say like, oh, I want it for an IG post, or I want it for like a song, and it will kind of like, change the dimensions of it. Yeah, nice little clean photo of you looking cute, and then you find that they have hundreds of fonts, if not thousands, to choose. Get that in there. You're gonna make yourself looking clean in a second. You're gonna put that up the same night. Free 99, y'all.
Yeah, that's a good advice too. Canva does come through in the clutch. Absolutely. Yeah, but I would agree too, Freddie, that once the flyer comes out, I know for me, like I like to be silly. I like to be, show my personality too. So I think that's the thing too. It's like, because people also get tired of looking at a flyer. So you kind of got to have to use your creativity to come up with new ways to be like, okay, cool. Like you've seen the flyer 2 or 3 times. Now, how else can I make it like a refreshing way to promote, what I've got going on? So I put up a silly video, or I don't know, like you said, rehearse. I love to see behind the scenes stuff. People are obsessed with seeing how things are made. And so rehearse, like, honestly, y'all want to have somebody come to your show, put a little clip of you singing or a little cute little run with the band. Oh, baby, it gets people excited for the show. So yeah, I would absolutely agree. BTS is very important. People love behind the scenes stuff. So yes, absolutely.
I just very quickly want to say all of these totally on point ideas from Danny and Freddie can absolutely also be applied to when you're releasing music.
Absolutely.
I just want to say that.
Absolutely.
They're like everything.
Absolutely.
The BTS, the build up, the fun little personality, the going on IG Live, the like little snippet of the song, and then the cover art, right? And maybe even the track list, and even just some other, keeping it in theme, like all totally applicable for all that.
Yes, all the gems. Yes, it fits everywhere. Select all that apply. Definitely. Love it. Love it. So now that we're talking about, the visual and how people are interacting with your music and with what your like your cover art and things like that, all that's happening virtually. So when people are performing, when you go to perform in a virtual arena, whether that be Zoom, Instagram Live, or whatever the case may be, how do you find, like, what are some of the perks that you find now to interacting with your audience that has been different from live shows, like when you're actually in their face? Like, what are some of the perks to having this virtual arena?
One of the biggest perks is you can interact with people from all over the world in one place. And let's say you've taken trips abroad and you've made fans or friends there, but you're not going to go tour there anytime soon. At least they can all connect with you over Instagram or Zoom or whatever your platform is. I think that's the biggest perk, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. Connecting to audiences that you would have never connected to before. We have so much access to the world market now. And then to add on to that as well, you can drop your Venmo link. You can, hey.
Talk about it, Figgy. Talk about it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Danny knows. Like, hey, we still artists out here. We struggling during the pandemic. Like, and we ticket sales. Like, IG Live is free. Okay, you ain't paying to hop in here. So while we here, I can drop the link directly to open your phone, which is not something you do to show. Like, oh, pull out your show. Here's my. Go to www. Nah, it's just in the link. Boop. Drop you a quick $5 or a quick $10. That's good.
What do you have a go-to line? To promote the Venmo?
Do I have a go-to line?
Yeah.
I say everyone say help Figgy eat, and then I have them write help Figgy eat, and then I put the Venmo link, and then that's the only time.
I might take that, Figgy. I hope you don't mind. I might use that. I might actually use
help
that.
Danny eat. Yeah.
Love it.
Yes. And I would agree with both of you all. I think, you're right. Like when you're in Washington D.C., that's Washington D.C. Like, you know, when I go, I like my virtual show, didn't even know, I've never traveled abroad to sing. Didn't even know I had a UK little audience over there, and discovered that because they were able to just see a real actual show on the internet. And so it has, though I do miss the audience, it really, you're right. Like you can, anyone in the world can watch you do this thing because you are on a platform. So yes, it has definitely helped with that for sure. I would agree. So, and again, like you said, like Figgy said, it is because I don't think people understand, like a lot of us have had to figure out how to supplement our income because we can't perform. So it's like, yeah, you can't eat me up for free right now. You gotta gotta give a little to get a little. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely, give a little to get a lot. You know, that's a lot that, you know, even though it's a virtual platform, you're still giving that same energy, that same
true.
heart, that same spirit. So most
Yes.
definitely you get a whole lot.
I had one more thought, actually.
Go ahead,
sorry,
Freddie.
Sorry to cut you off, but prior to like the shutdown in March, all of my friends and I thought of like an audience as like, you know, in the flesh. But I think we've all kind of like had to reevaluate and be like, oh, an audience doesn't have to be like, you know, a breathing thing. It can also be, an audience exists virtually as well. That's like one thing I'm just learning. Like I just learned in 2020 that the internet but there's people that since YouTube was invented, like they already knew that. They're way ahead of that game. So an audience can be anywhere. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned from the internet.
Yeah, most definitely. And you get to stay where you are, you know.
Man, that is very
Saving your
convenient.
vocals,
I mean,
save all those, you know.
You don't have to chart your gear anywhere.
Exactly. So as we, you know, our performers, we're also consumers of the art. So have you all seen any like really, really cool ways that other artists have engaged with their audience? Or do you have any amazing ways that you've engaged with your audience virtually that you'd like to share with any other artists looking to engage virtually that don't really, you know where to start?
Is this during a performance specifically,
Yep,
or just
during
generally?
the performance specifically.
Oh, during the performance. Oh yeah, I'm all about the back and forth. You know, we like, hey, when I say word, you say word, right? And usually, you know, that's like that's easy 101 live because you can hear them. You're just engaging, right? Like when I take a water break, I'll be like, you know, because sometimes it's like you want to be strategic even in moments like you're taking a water break. And I'm like, you know what? Bring attention to it. I'm like, I'm gonna say water. Like everyone say, water is life, and water is life, and I'll take that water. And but this, and then the same thing works online, right? You know, it may be a little like awkward at first. You know, like there's a delayed in time. So you're like, yo, show me, you know, like make some virtual noise. Like I want to see some fire emojis in the comments. Like I think asking what you want is very helpful. Just be like, and direct. Be like, hey y'all, say like, go Figgy baby, go. Like type it out. And then they can just be like, go Figgy baby, go, right? And you can be like, all right, I see y'all, you know, like in the chat, you know, call people's names, be like, okay, yeah, Jasandra, you know, all right, Patrick, Crystal, Somalia, I see you, Freddie, Danny, all right, Kristen, Figgy baby, that's right, keep coming with a love, you know, like show some love, you know, you can see their names now, right? That's another thing connected to the last question is like, you know, see IG handles their names, so you can even make it more personal. Because in the audience, you're like, I don't know who. Hey, you with the red hat, shouts to you, you know. But now you can be like, hey, Patrick, big love, homie, you know, Patrick.
Even hearing that is so exciting. You know what I mean? Like even just hearing, I know my name and I know that you know me, but it's like, oh my gosh, like he called my name. It's a whole thing.
Too, I got really excited, like, oh my God,
he called my name. Yeah, it's like it's a whole experience. Like yeah, most definitely. I hope people see that and use that most definitely. Patrick's like, yeah, I felt that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that I haven't personally used it, but I have enjoyed watching shows on Twitch. Like I have very much enjoyed that. And now what I love is Bandcamp is letting you do shows, which is huge. And you know we love Bandcamp because Bandcamp gives us our money directly. So all praise be to Bandcamp. And so I have loved watching kind of how platforms have evolved as far as how artists are using them that way. But yeah, I've seen some amazing shows on Twitch. And like I said, I watched, I think Liv had a show on Bandcamp that was bomb. Like it was like I was sitting there in a concert. So yeah, I think I have enjoyed like I said, watching platforms, be able to give us those things. So yeah.
Love that. Absolutely. Everybody's trying to make it work. See how best they can be of service, most definitely. So with that said, I guess, as you've evolved and grown as an artist, how has your performance style changed? Like, is it something that you feel like you came out the gate as this person and your performance style has always been this, or has it changed and evolved over time into who you are today?
I think for me, I've always had a similar performance style of just like myself, it has matured. But I think, I've been performing ever since like probably middle school, and I still use some of the same like crowd participation techniques and all that kind of stuff. It's just more mature now, I value a lot more these days the craft and the skill that goes into what I'm trying to do. I'll work a lot more on my vocal exercises and my guitar playing and make sure that's like as best as it can be. And I think before I used to just mostly focus on making sure everybody had a good time at the show and like, interacting and entertaining. And so now I'm trying to marry those two things, like being quality, giving you quality performance while keeping you engaged. I think that's been where I'm at.
Love that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Dang, how much I've evolved. So much. Like first of all, I'm like 8 different people since the beginning of the quarantine. So, and
8 different people alone, just during
8 different
quarantine.
people. Yeah. Hey,
Exactly.
for real. I do want to piggyback on something Freddie said. Getting the instrument right, vocal warm-ups. Get disciplined in your craft, y'all. I do vocal warm-ups. If I have a show at the end of the month, I'm gonna do vocal warm-ups for like 2 weeks up into it. Just like 15 minutes a day, right? Just like it's a muscle like anything else, right? So we have to like keep that strong, keep your lung capacity large, and just like make sure that you're not pulling from the wrong muscles and getting tight necks. It's just like, getting in tune with like like Freddie said, the craft. And then apart from that, I think specifically how I've grown as a performer during the quarantine on live shows is calming a little bit and being a little smaller, because one, they can see less, and so this movement is a lot more than when you're on stage and like there's like people on the back and like so I think you can do less, right? You can focus on the vocals, you can focus on the performance, the actual musical performance. And in terms of like your body, I'm a rapper, so like I have the mic off the stand a lot and I'm like moving and jumping around and like going from this side of the crowd to that side of the crowd and hopping off stage sometimes. And I think that's something that I've had to reel back and just like be comfortable on the stand and just like have a few like very kind of like articulate moments that just like underline what I'm trying to say, and maybe get off the mic for a second and just kind of move. But like a little goes a long way in the virtual performance world, which I'm realizing.
Wow. Love that. Most definitely. And that vulnerability with like saying like I have evolved a lot just during quarantine.
Right.
And this is how, and being self-reflective of like this is my performance style and this is what I've learned that is needed for the space that I'm performing in. So most definitely, thank you both. Danny, you had something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Both of you have pretty much said a lot of what I was going to say. I can definitely say when I started performing, I was doing small clubs and open mics, and so there was a lot of liquor involved. I know Freddie talked about that earlier. So that, I can say that I definitely had shows where I'm just like, what even happened? So, we just, young 20s, we've all been there. And so I definitely can say now, which it didn't say it wasn't a good performance. It didn't mean it wasn't awesome. Didn't mean people didn't enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? I think now though, I am way more intentional. I very much so. I think, you know, I love to rock out. Sometimes I just literally scream on stage. I love to do it. Kristen knows. But I think I
It's
have kind
wonderful.
of
It's incredible.
but I have learned to be like, you know, though, yes, this is like people love you being this radical and rocking out this hard. Like at the end of the day, Danny, you are a singer. And I have been finding yes, we can give high energy, but also staying in the quality of my voice and singing essentially that ass off, which, you know, I really want to do. And I can say that it's interesting. I had a show like 2 days before LA shut down. And it was a show like in a little cafe in Leimert Park here in Los Angeles. And I can say that honestly, in the 10 years I've been performing, that might have been one of my best shows. And I'm saying that because I felt every note. Like I felt every note coming out of me. I knew, I even sometimes like, whoa, is this me singing? Because I was so into what I was doing vocally. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely can say that as I have grown up, so has my performing. So yeah, for sure.
Yes, love that. Absolutely. And it kind of all goes together with what you all are saying, being more intentional, being more aware, you know, knowing how to make the most of what you do and perfecting that and bringing that forward and allowing that to shine. Um, and it's such an interesting time now because people aren't looking for that same huge thing that is needed live a lot of times. So you have that opportunity in the space to do so. So grateful that you all are evolving in a way that you feel comfortable and feel amazing and growing. And that, I mean, that's just amazing. I'm like all like jittery over here just absorbing all of that wonderfulness. So thank you. Yeah, so what advice would you give to an artist that's looking to give an unforgettable moment to their audience, if that is even like, what's
I
one
mean,
thing you would tell?
I think to me, what makes people unforgettable is being authentically them. Like if you are like 100% you up there and giving you like, that's what makes you memorable. That's what keeps you on people's minds. Because I give Danny, I don't give nobody else. I don't think about anybody else. I give Danni Cassette because that's who I am divinely in my own. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like that is your mark. You in your creativity is your mark. Absolutely. That's just my opinion. Because I think that's what's worked for me. Like people, you won't forget me, man, because I made sure you didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I don't know, like, you know, every moment, second you have up there, just completely be in the authenticity of yourself and your creativity. So yeah.
Most definitely. Love that. Any other advice?
You know what? Having a genuine moment of vulnerability when one audience member is gonna like make them remember that forever. Just like really delivering a line or a verse or a chorus just to like one individual. And like, you know, how many songs you do? You could do that to multiple individuals, right? But just like having a moment, you're just like really looking them in the eye and just like telling them, they're gonna be like, oh my God, this one moment, like Biggie, you know, whoever was like, just like looked at me, we were like connecting, you know? That's in, you know, it's a little different nowadays because a lot of things that first came up when you asked that question, Kristen, was you know, like in the non-quarantine world. So I'm thinking about like one thing that people have told me has like really made their show is like, you know, I'll be like hop off stage in the middle of the performance and like come down to the audience and like dap people up in the middle of like rapping a verse, or like, you know, like grab a group of people and just kind of vibe with them. Sometimes I'll let the band or my DJ like go off on a solo and I'll come down and just like start a dance circle. I'm a dancer as well, so I, you know, make sure to tune into that skill. But I think for now, virtual shows, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking again, going back to my last kind of comment about engaging with people's names, you know, just being like, hey, like, you know, like, oh, shout out to Dennis, like, hey, you know, really been present in the chat today. You know, Dennis, like, is there a song that like you want to hear right now? You know, and in that ability, you allow them to also help curate the show, and I think that make them feel like even if they're just like in their random apartment in, you know, Liverpool in the UK, then they're like, hey, what? Like I'm like so far from this LA artist and they just like asked me by name what song I want to hear from them. And it's just like, okay, that's cool. So it's just that that intimacy, I think, is the bottom line, right? And the different ways that intimacy kind of like manifests in different performances.
Love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all great. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I've ever tried to plan like a magical moment, or like a joke even, it never lands. So I'm like, the day before the show, I'm like, oh, and then before this song, I'm gonna say this, and that's gonna get a big laugh. And then I get to the venue and do it, and like nobody laughs. So I've trained myself to stop planning for like magical moments and just kind of like allow them to happen. I think you really have to be in tune with, and like you have to accept what comes to you, and you can use like the audience as an instrument in that way. And somebody just shouts or heckles, play Freebird or play whatever, and then you just kind of do it, or you don't play the Freebird they want to hear, but you make up a whole new song called Freebird. Like that is a magical moment that you can't like practice at home. That I don't know. That's just me though. I can never practice jokes, and then I'm not a comedian in that way.
Freddie, I can't believe none of your jokes landed because you made me laugh like 3 times.
Well, I didn't prepare any of that.
You right there, you
Yes.
go.
It was because you
Whatever
were
comes out
flowing
of the top of my
naturally.
head.
Look
You're
at
present.
you.
It was very
Yes.
funny.
Yes.
I love it.
But that is true though. I think that comes from performing. It's a lot of it is improv. Like a lot. I mean, but the thing is, I think it should be allowed space to be improv, because I think again, like we can be such planners. I think that's the time. I think like Eric Badu said, or somebody said, like, when you record something in the studio, how did she put it? I think like that you make it, you create it in the studio. You have whole nother moment to recreate it once you perform it. And so I think allowing ourselves the space to just let be whatever happens in there. Again, I think that creates being unforgettable, because whether it's virtual, whether it's with people don't forget that moment, because only they've had that experience, because it only those things happen in that one time. You're never going to have the same show. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, so that's why they don't land, man. Cause
Yeah. Maybe improv is the ultimate BTS. Like
there we go.
When you're improving, it's the ultimate behind the scenes. But then everybody's there for it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Which they love. And again, back to, Kristen's question, and they don't forget that. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Bars from everybody. Bars.
Yes, love that. I have one additional question before we jump into the Q&A, and we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. So thank you guys for putting those in there. Can't wait to get to them. But now that we're, looking at the virtual screen, do you all find that it is important to create a set behind you when you go to make to your performances? Or do you think that the background is just like, shouldn't worry about it and just focus on the performance? What has been your experience?
At home, I definitely think that the background matters, and it can be simple, right? I think less is more, like a lot of cluster and stuff is going to distract folks. Even right now, I'm like noticing like this chair right here, and I'm like, get out of the skirt, get out of the frame, get out of it, but yeah, like, I have like one spot in my house that's like really nice and pristine and like has all the like perfect setups, and then everything else is like a mess. Like you don't know right now, but the rest 3/4 of my room, explosion. No, but yeah, I think, and I don't think there's gonna be a lot of effort. A little candle, some like general lighting. Like look at this natural lighting, beautiful, right? That's all you need, And yeah, and I think the wardrobe also does it too, right? Compliment, look fresh with your background. Do some video checks beforehand. Before we open this chat, I opened up my own Zoom link to get I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly where right? Oh, all right, shit. But anyways.
Love it. Yes. Yes. Anybody else?
Wardrobe is key. And that brings me to a question for Danny. Where did you get your shirt? Because that shirt is really amazing.
Let's talk fashion.
Appreciate you. I got it from H&M. Yes, this is an H&M classic. So yes, and thank you for that. This is actually one of my favorite shirts. This is actually one of my very, very favorite shirts. So yes, thank you.
Freddie's like, thanks for asking that question, Danny.
And
you can just turn your Zoom off now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I as far as background, I mean, yeah, I agree with Figgy, because like even right now, I don't love that I have my big ass TV in the thing, but I'm in the process of designing my space, and so that's why this is the only corner right now that like is cool. You know what I'm saying? So but yeah, I think like you said, like Kristen, honestly, your background is beautiful. Like I think your background, like when you got on the Zoom, I was like, okay, so where are we? Who did the set? Like,
I wanted to go buy a plant real quick.
I
I'm like,
absolutely want to
who
plant
did
now.
your background? Like
And the wardrobe is on point, right? We
on
can all
point,
agree the
like,
wardrobe is
hello
on point.
hats,
The
right?
white, yeah,
I'm like,
right.
if anything, we should bring this question to you.
Kristen, why are you so fly, and how can we get like you? Go.
And where did you
Right.
get it from?
No. I love y'all. Really, no. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an incredible thing. So I guess whatever feels good to you, because my space
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
good.
yeah.
This is my house.
Yeah.
This is my everyday. I mean, except for when I'm asleep or whatever. So like whatever
Right.
feels natural to you and authentic to you is what you should bring to your audience. I feel like this is like my way to share with the audience me, welcome to
Yeah,
my
yeah.
home kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
It is fun to build a set, and then when I walk by it, throughout the day, I'm like, oh, that's the set for my show, and then you go to your living room or whatever. But it is kind of fun to have
Yeah.
a designated area where that's your set,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're going to try to do a lightning round then. I'm just going to read off the questions and feel free to just spew out your answer. And we're going to try to get to everybody who posted questions. So on to the Q&A. So we have one person that says, what if knowing who's in the audience makes an artist even more nervous? So they do better personally in a darker room so they can't see any of those features and like they don't want to know who those people are. So what advice would you give to them?
Can I take this one actually? Or at least start? I say pretend everyone in the audience is important, because you never know who is in the audience actually. So just pretend everyone is like some record label executive, and then whoever is actually there is not going to be as important as them probably.
Yeah, most definitely. Or cover your screen, I guess, if you don't want to see, the people, and just let your heart go,
Yeah, close your eyes. We say like we look around. I look around to calm my nerves, but don't look around then, like, just focus on a few of those friendly faces that make you feel good, plan a couple homies in the audience or have them hop onto the live.
I would agree. I would agree. And I think for me, even like to calm some of my, like go back to when we're talking about nerves, sometimes to calm my nerves, like I always open up my show with the same song. I definitely do that with my eyes closed. Like it is okay to kind of have some, and people will just think you're in the moment. I mean, we're artists. This is what we do. They'll think it's art, So like sometimes, have those moments it's completely okay to close your eyes, and you can still give a good intentional performance doing that. Not the whole time, but do maybe some of that to kind of just center yourself. So again, some of those nerves go away. So yeah.
Absolutely. Love that. I say that all the time. I perform with my eyes closed, and I tell the audience
Yes.
every time, like, it's not because I'm afraid of you or I'm nervous.
Right.
That's me connecting to myself
Yes.
to give you
Yes.
what I need to give you, but definitely do what it is that you need to do for you. Love it. So next up, we have, how do you pick yourself up after having a not so good show?
You know what? I cry. I'd be like, that shit. You know what? I think it's okay to be like, yeah, that shit sucked. That was not great. I did not like that. I would have liked that to go better. It's okay to sulk a little bit. Give you a moment to grief. That's all right. Just be like, damn, you know what? That wasn't great. And cuddle up, watch your favorite show. It's all right. The hard ones come. Like the great ones are only great because the hard ones were hard, and the bad ones were bad. So, appreciate the balance and the range that you have. Yeah.
And it's also about perspective, because I think as artists, we're hard on ourselves. So sometimes we'll feel like we'll have a bad show, and the audience is like, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So sometimes it's also about perspective. So maybe sometimes what I do sometimes before I really assess like how a show was for me, how I feel, is sometimes I wait to hear the reaction. So like, say if I post like photos of after the show, people are like, oh my God, I'm like, okay, so maybe Danni, this wasn't as bad as you thought. Not saying we don't have bad ones, because I've definitely been like, no, I know that was bad. I think sometimes I do. No, like listen, I did a fashion show once. It was terrible. Okay. But I think sometimes, I think that's when we can lean on our audience. Like our audience, they will tell us, that, some of them will be, will tell us and will let us know how they felt about it. So I think sometimes even when I'm feeling how I do kind of get back up, it's like, oh, well, that audience member said that it was the best show they've ever seen. Though I thought, the point is they're supposed to enjoy it. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Love that. Freddie, I saw you were going to say something as well.
Yeah. After you sulk, after you watch your Netflix show or whatever, learn from whatever happened. Like everything is a lesson. And really the ultimate goal is just to get better. And you can never stop getting better. And everything is in process of betterment. So just learn from it. Oh, and keep booking gigs. Like if you have a next gig to start preparing for, then automatically you're now distracted and you're no longer worried about whatever just happened. So keep your schedule stacked.
That's very
Absolutely.
good advice. I was going to say, I was like, yes, focus on the next gig. Yeah, very good advice. Yeah.
Love that. Awesome. All right, we got the next one up. It says, what can we do to connect with our audience virtually these days, whether it's performances or just staying connected with the supporters on social media platforms? Do you have any tips for posting or staying relevant and engaged with folks right now? That was like a triple threat.
Start an email list. At the best direct connection with your audience. Don't rely on algorithms. Don't rely on Instagram to show them every post. Be on Instagram, do that, but get a website, get an email list, do whatever you can to have as direct a relationship with your audience as possible virtually. And then as for social media, post regularly, get people excited about things. Going on live is cool, and you don't need any sound setup for that. Literally just like laying on your bed, chilling, going on live, and just like people want to chat with you. Even if it's 2 or 3 people, those people want to vibe with you. And so just be present and be like, hey, what y'all want to talk about? Or just be like, you know what? I want to talk about the process of one of my songs today. Or my song Seams. I made that a year ago. I was sitting in the da-da-da. And let people just listen to you. And at a moment, there might be only one person in there. And then little by little, there might be 20, 30, 40, 5,000. So, just let them see the process.
Love it. All right, we're going to jump into the next question. Unless, Danny, you had something you wanted to say.
I'm good. You can go.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. So we have, let's go to, is there a place for an artist who enjoys being support musicians in this environment? So this person is a bass player and they don't want to be anything other than a bass player in a band. So how can they, I guess, connect with other artists that are looking for, people looking for bass players? Or how can other artists connect with musicians that want to perform?
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Bass players are really important, by the way.
Hello.
And everyone needs a support. And so knowing where you fit in a band or in a group is knowing your role can get you really far, knowing that you don't want to be the star can save you a lot of like trial and error.
And a bit of information from, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. No. I
I
would say jam session. Okay.
Yes.
You have the better background. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that from a few of our other in sessions, Instagram, reaching out to people,
Yes.
but also falling in love with people's music. So if you're, listening to someone's music and you love it and you reach out to them and let them know that not only are you an amazing bass player, but you also love their music and you're able to, offer some things for them. I think that is a great way to kind of network in that way with a little bit of authenticity. So don't reach out to people just haphazardly, but only reach out to the people that you really want to work with and you actually enjoy playing to their music in general.
Genuine breath closing. It goes a long way, or kissing up. That does go a long way, I think.
Yeah, and I know things for me too. Like, how I've ever dealt with anything trying to like crack a market at all. Like even before I came to LA, I was like, who's the who of the what? Like you have to, when you really want to be plugged in, you have to really, see what's going on. I think even virtually now, like, you know, because I know before, like there's jam card, you know, we can't gather now. So it is a little harder to, you know, to be engaging people in that way. But I think it's like doing your research about like, okay, what is happening in the city that you're in or whatever, like you said, Kristen, I'm just backpacking off of that. Like, I think that's a big thing to like plug in and start to really get a good Rolodex going of people you want to potentially play for. So yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you all so much. We didn't get a chance to answer all of the questions in the Q&A, but we're over time and we want to honor everybody's time, the panelists and the attendees, most definitely. So thank you all so much. Figgy, Danny, Freddie, this has been an
Yeah.
amazing,
It
amazing
was so much
conversation.
Yeah,
fun.
thanks. So nice to meet
So
everyone
much
too.
fun.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely. Thank you, Freddie, Danny.
Absolutely.
Y'all
And
are
I
the
gotta connect
dopest.
with you, Figgy, because you in my hood.
We out
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah, I gotta connect
Dude.
with you, yo. I gotta
Yo.
connect with you.
Hit me up.
So
Let's
all of
do
the
it.
audience members,
Building,
thank you
baby.
all for tuning in and joining us. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for all of these things, giving us your energy. We will be back for the next in session next month. Please stay tuned. Check us out. Feel free to look at all the other in sessions that we've had on YouTube, also on the SoFar website, to gather some additional information on a myriad of topics. My name is Kristen B, and I am super, super excited to have been here with you. And until next time, this has been In Session.
Thanks.
Ra, ra, ra.
Bye.